On the groups IO, if we go to the wiki part of it, this has an explanation of all the communications that are expected to go on. But right here, we have posted the latest link for the latest release for UltraTracker. We want to start by downloading this executable. This will install UltraTracker. So as it's downloading up here, I like to go ahead and run it from right here. So I just clicked on the download thing, but once it's completed, give it a second. Okay, now we'll go ahead and open it. So oftentimes when you download UltraTracker, it may get flagged and it will say, hey, this is a bad file. Do you want me to go ahead and delete it? Don't click delete. Make sure you say keep anyway, and then you run it. The next window that you're going to get is this Windows protected your PC. This is because we haven't had our app signed yet, so it doesn't look like an authentic Windows app. It is on our radar to do it, but we want to get some more features in place before we do it. So in order to properly install it, you need to click more info here and then click run anyway. I know with us that have been working on the development team, we are doing everything to make sure that this app is safe, right down to the libraries that we are using. And at some point we will get it signed, so that will no longer appear. So once it pops up, once it's installed, it'll just pop up like this. And before we can actually start using it, we need to go grab some more files. Currently right now, if you click Files on the Bear 100 page, you'll see there's the 2025 support files. We need this one to set up our stations, so I'm just going to save it right to my downloads file. Hit save. The other ones that we need is back in the files here, and this is the files that we're going to be using for testing and creating a workflow. I need the mock athletes file. So before the event, we'll have in the 2025 file or folder, we'll have the two files there, the stations file as well as the athletes file. So once those are downloaded, I need to come back to UltraTracker and come over here and click settings. And now we need to start loading up the different files that we have. So the first one that we're going to do is the load the stations file. Get this window right here. I put it in my downloads folder, so I come over here and we look for the .json that says Bear 100 station file. Then just click open. The next thing, I need to load the athletes file. Once again, this is going to be in my downloads. You guys just saw me download it. Come over here and hit open. So with those two files loaded, we can go ahead and set up the rest of our station. We'll come down to stations right here. Currently, mine's set to start line, and where I'm actually going to be for the Bear 100 is Lethem Hollow. I'll go ahead and change it to my call sign, and we can see we've already got the call signs in there for the other people who will be there. Then I'll go ahead and click apply. Then that comes to this window and we can see, hey, that information is right down there. So one other thing that we need to do if you're past the start line is we need to load up the did not start file. It just so happens that I have one from last year still in my WinLink. So I just went to my WinLink and hopefully we'll get these out. Brandon or whoever's working on it will get these out pretty quick. And we can just select that, open up the attachments, save all. Once again, I'm just going to put this in my downloads folder. So I'm keeping everything in the central location. So now we need to get those DNSs into Ultra Tracker. We have a load DNS at DNS, but if the file format isn't correct, that won't work. And last year, that's why we had to type in manually. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we have that working correctly this year, so we can just import them. But loading the DNF is just the same as loading the athletes. Now we want to start looking at some workflows. So this is the main screen that you're going to be on. This status bar right here is very helpful. It will help you see how many DNFs that are prior to your station, how many you had at your station, how many total DNFs. This just helps you keep a total of how many athletes are on the course. If we have someone call really quickly and ask, like over the radio, we also have a count of how many registered athletes there are and how many we're expecting to income. So while we're logging, I'm going to hurry and log in 10 and then show what an export would look like. So we have like 121 come in, 124 come in, 126, 321, and 231. Well, we want to get a full 10 in there. So 56, 65, 98, 85, 255, 256. They were friends. And once we have this sequence in, and we're like, okay, there's not that many people coming, so we want to hurry and do an export so we can send this off of WinLink. You have a couple of options here. First off, we have export full, and this will export everything that's in the file. This should rarely be done. We have it here as a means to getting all the data. The main one that you really want to do is this incremental right here. So when you hit the export incremental, this just created the CVS file. To see where that CVS file is located, you can come out here and you'll see that it has a number on it tacked onto the end, and this is the file that's ready to go. So this is when we come over to WinLink and create a new new message attaching the file and everything that we do on WinLink. So say we're back here in Ultra Tracker, back in the status window, and we have some more people come in. So we got another 10 people in here, and we're like, okay, it's kind of calmed down again. We want to send out another export. Once again, you can do this export incremental. This says, hey, the new file has been created. You can come over here, open up the folder again, and you'll see that this incremented to 2. If you sent just the 2 file, it will not contain any of the data that exists in 1. It will only have the data that exists in number 2. So the last 10 racers that I put in, we can even open this just so you can see what I'm talking about. And we can look at those bib numbers and we'll see, oh, hey, those were only the last 10 that I put in. It wasn't any of the previous ones. So what you need to make sure that you do is send every single incremented file through the WinLink over to the data team. This will ensure that we get all the right data. The other thing that these incremental files are doing is making sure that we're not tying up the digi repeaters or the gateways with really big files. Now, if you've found that you've forgotten to send one of the incremental files, you can just go back into WinLink and look at what you outputted and then just send the incremental files that you missed. That would be a lot easier on the data team rather than sending a huge file that has everything in it. So those incremental files are just to help keep the airwaves uncluttered. So let's say that your station has beginning to close up, or maybe it's been a while in there, but you've had a few people who've decided that they've just can't handle this anymore. And they want to drop out. Oops. So to make a DNF, and that person comes up to you and talks to you and says, hey, I want to drop out. It's just as simple as coming over. So we had 104 decide that they wanted to drop out, to give an example. You come over and say DNF, and you have a reason. Medical is they got injured, and we really want to know those ones. Timeout is they didn't make the cutoff time, and withdrew is just they couldn't make it anymore. Then we want to put some kind of note. Withdrew because reason. I can't even spell because correctly. Because reason. Withdrew reason. Apply. You'll eventually get a whole bunch of these DNFs depending on where you are. To export those, we'll just go ahead and do that and then come over here and do export DFN. Once again, it pops it up to a location that you want to put it. I prefer just leaving it right here in the folder.